Amara's coffee cup slipped from her grasp, shattering on the tiled floor. The sound was a punctuation mark on the end of her career. A junior reporter, standing on the steps of Julian's gleaming glass office in Victoria Island, spoke with breathless reverence. Julian Olanrewaju's latest masterpiece, the Eco Garden Tower, has been praised for its groundbreaking design that merges modernism with Nigerian heritage. Olanrewaju and Company has secured its place as a leader in African architecture with this project. A montage of Amara's work, her meticulously crafted sketches, the beautiful holographic renders, the innovative floor plans, flashed across the screen. But every time a detail was highlighted, the reporter's voice credited Julian's unparalleled genius. The betrayal was so brazen, so public, it was like a physical blow. The world was celebrating a thief, and Amara, the true creator, had been erased. The phone in her hand felt heavy. She had to fight this. She had to scream the truth. But a moment of cold, paralyzing clarity hit her. Who would believe her? Julian Olanrewaju wasn't just an architect. He was an institution, a national treasure. Amara Nwosu was just a promising junior partner, a girl from a simple family who had dared to dream. She tried calling Julian. His number was disconnected. She tried his office. A crisp, corporate voice informed her that Amara Nwosu was no longer associated with the firm. She was an outcast. She was nothing. The weeks that followed were a waking nightmare. Amara, a woman who once thrived on the energy of Lagos, now found herself hiding from it. She stopped visiting her favorite buka, where the Afar soup was as comforting as her mother's stories. She avoided the bustling art galleries and the Sunday markets, fearing the pitying stares of colleagues and the whispers of gossip. The Lagos architectural community was small and insular. The story of Julian's protégé, who had supposedly flamed out, was a sensational tale, a cautionary legend whispered over glasses of palm wine. Amara's mother, a kind woman who ran a tailoring business, saw the light fading from her daughter's eyes. "My child," she said one evening, "this is not the end of the world. You are a graduate. You can get a good government job. Let this madness go." But Amara couldn't let it go. The betrayal had not only stolen her work, it had stolen her love for her craft. She would sit in her apartment, staring at a blank canvas, unable to draw, unable to create. She was a hollow shell, and the ghost of the Eco Garden Tower haunted her every waking moment. One afternoon, desperate for a change of scenery, she took a long, aimless drive through the city's outskirts. She found herself in a chaotic but vibrant neighborhood, a labyrinth of dusty streets and bustling workshops. The air was thick with the scent of roasted corn and burning wood. It was here, in the heart of the raw, unfiltered city, that her car gave out. A wheel well had collapsed, the old suspension finally giving up. As she stood in the sun, frustrated and defeated, an old man emerged from a workshop across the street. He was tall and lean, with a weathered face that was a roadmap of a long life. He wore a simple wrapper, and his hands, gnarled and powerful, were covered in fine wood dust. "Ah, this fine machine is not built for our Lagos roads, my daughter," he said with a deep, melodic laugh. "Come inside. The sun is too hot for a fair lady like you to be standing out here." Amara was hesitant, but his eyes held a warmth she hadn't seen in months. His workshop was a chaotic symphony of wood and tools. Half-finished carvings of animals and deities stood next to sleek, modern furniture. The air hummed with a quiet, purposeful energy. The old man introduced himself as Baba Femi, a master carpenter and craftsman. He offered her a seat and a bottle of cold water. Amara, feeling a strange comfort, found herself telling him everything. The Eco Garden Tower, Julian's betrayal, the way her dreams had been stolen. Baba Femi listened without interruption, his eyes fixed on her face. When she finished, a long silence fell between them. He finally pointed to a gnarled piece of Irako wood. "You see this wood? It has been through fire. It has seen the worst of the sun and the rain. A man with no vision will throw it away. But a man with a true craftsman's eye, he will see the story within the scars. He will see beauty. He will see strength. Julian saw your work, but he never saw your soul. And that is why it could never truly be his. Over the next few months, Baba Femi became her unexpected mentor. His workshop became her new sanctuary. He didn't teach her about design software or structural engineering. He taught her about the soul of materials. She learned to feel the grain of a plank of Irako wood to tell its story. She learned to carve, to sculpt, to use her hands to create beauty, not just her mind. The physical act of creation, of seeing a raw piece of wood become a functional work of art, was a balm for her wounded spirit. Her posture, once slumped in defeat, straightened. The paleness of her skin, a sign of her hermetic lifestyle, was replaced by a healthy, sun-kissed glow. Amara began sketching again, but this time her designs were different. They were rooted in the local. They celebrated the textures of laterite clay and the resilience of bamboo. She was merging the modern with the traditional, creating an entirely new architectural language. Every great idea starts with a small act of love, Baba Femi told her one day, watching her sketch a design for a community center. That is what Julian will never understand. The community center became her new project. She designed it for Baba Femi's neighborhood, a place that was alive with color and noise. The design, which she named Ilife Center, was a beautiful fusion of a modern building with traditional Nigerian architectural concepts, built with local, sustainable materials. The community helped her build it, their hands and hearts a part of every wall and every window. The experience restored her faith in her own work, in her own vision. She wasn't building for a competition anymore. She was building for people. One morning, while the community center was nearing completion, Amara saw the news. A new national competition had been announced, the Abuja National Art Gallery. The project was even bigger, more prestigious than the Golden City Tower. It was a career-defining opportunity, a project that would stand for generations. Amara's blood ran cold when she saw Julian Olanrewaju's name among the finalists. He was still winning. With her design, he had rebranded the Eco Garden Tower as his own signature work. He was riding the wave of her talent all the way to the top. Amara felt the old rage flare up, but this time it was different. It wasn't the rage of a defeated girl. It was the righteous anger of a woman who had found her power. She went to Baba Femi. "Baba," she said, her voice firm, "I am going to enter this competition. Not for revenge, not for glory, but to show the world what Julian stole and what he can never take from me again." Baba Femi smiled, a knowing, triumphant smile. "Then we will go together, my child." The day of the final presentations arrived. The venue was a grand hall in Abuja, filled with the elite of the Nigerian and international architectural community. Julian was there, of course, surrounded by a new team of bright-eyed young associates. His face held the same arrogant confidence it had 2 years prior. He looked straight past Amara, as if she were a ghost. The judges, a panel of 5 distinguished architects and artists, sat at a long table. Julian was scheduled to present first. He walked to the podium and, with the practiced smoothness of a seasoned performer, unveiled his presentation. The screen behind him displayed breathtaking shots of the Eco Garden Tower. He spoke with the flair of a man who believed every word he said, but Amara, who had lived and breathed that design, could see the empty grandiosity in his eyes. He talked about the glass and the chrome, the soaring heights, the modern aesthetic. But he completely ignored the heart of the design, the living gardens, the natural airflow, the seamless connection to the earth. He spoke of a building, but not of a soul. He finished his presentation to polite, if uninspired, applause. Then they called my name. Amara Nwosu, the Ilife Center. The murmurs began immediately. Amara had been a name in whispers for 2 years. Now, here she was, standing at the same podium as Julian Olanrewaju. I walked to the stage not alone, but with Baba Femi by my side, his hand resting on my shoulder. I didn't have a sleek holographic display. Instead, I had a hand-carved physical model of the community center, made with the very materials I had learned to love. I had a video on a small screen, not of a glossy animated render, but of the community itself, of children laughing in the sunlit gardens, of women weaving in the shade of the grand roof, of Baba Femi and I working on the building with our own two hands. Amara began to speak, her voice calm and strong. She didn't talk about soaring heights or corporate prestige. She talked about the power of local materials, the beauty of sustainable design, and the importance of architecture that served its people. She spoke of the building's soul and how it was impossible to build a masterpiece without it. Architecture is not about creating a monument to one man's ego, she said, her voice echoing in the grand hall. It is about creating a monument to a community's heart. As she spoke, she watched the judges. They weren't just listening, they were watching the video, they were studying the model, they were looking at the true, authentic story that was in front of them. The story Julian couldn't tell. When she finished, the room was silent. Then, one by one, the judges began to nod. The applause that followed was not polite, it was rapturous. The senior judge, an elderly woman with sharp, kind eyes, rose to speak. She looked at Amara, and then she looked at Julian. "We have seen two great designs today," she said, her voice ringing with authority. "But one of them had a story that was a testament to the future of our nation. It spoke of integrity, of authenticity, of a love for our people and our land. The National Art Gallery must not just be a building. It must be a heart." The crowd erupted as the woman announced Amara's name. A few of Julian's associates glanced at him, their faces a mixture of confusion and dawning horror. The whispers began again, but this time they were different. This time they were about him. The grand architect who had presented a design that everyone had now seen was just an empty shell. His reputation, built on stolen dreams, was already starting to crumble. Amara's victory was in that moment. It was not in a speech or a public takedown. It was in the quiet, undeniable truth that her work had spoken for itself. She had arrived not as a girl seeking justice, but as a master builder with her own vision. As the crowd surged forward, eager to congratulate her, a young associate from Julian's team came over, his face pale. "Miss Nwosu, Julian wants to speak with you," he whispered. Amara smiled. Tell him he had his chance. She didn't need his validation anymore. She had her own. She had built a new life, a new vision, with her own two hands and with the support of a true mentor. The story ends not in an office of glass and chrome, but on a plot of land in Abuja, the site of the future National Art Gallery. Amara stands there with Baba Femi, the plans for the Ilifes Center, in her hands. It was the blueprint for her future. The truth had finally won.